Chris John for wheredoesgodzillapoop.com, and this is Breach and Clear on the iPhone, which comes to us from the same guys that made Saturday Morning RPG, and also the tactical advisor or whatnot from the Call of Duty games. So this is a kind of strategy tactics game with an interesting backstory to it. For a long time, all the way through development, in fact, this was supposed to be a free-to-play game. And where usually a lot of games on the iPhone go from being a paid experience to a free-to-play one and suffer as a result. This actually started as a free-to-play game, and then just recently, really just a couple of weeks ago, they came out and said, well, this free-to-play idea isn't really working, so we're going to make it a full paid app. So this is $2, 170 yen gets you this, and gets you, it gets you the whole game, although there is, as we'll get into, some pretty heavy in-app purchase stuff if you're into that kind of thing. So what you've got is, what you're doing here is guiding your crew of 4 anti-terrorist fighting types. These are they. You can rename them as I have, as you may have noticed. And yeah, I mean, the first thing that springs to mind when you look at this is that probably this was designed. You know, I mean, they made the switch to a paid model fairly recently, and that kind of shines through in the interface here. So there's a big button right on the front page for the marketplace, and there's this whole kind of interface that is designed to make you swipe between these panes by showing a little bit of the next page over on the right. There's probably a technical term for that kind of UI design. All I know is that it kind of irritates me a little bit. I can't really put my finger on why. It's just kind of really not very neat. It's a little bit ugly. So yeah, I mean, in between each level, it kind of encourages you to buy gear and all of this that you can use to equip your people and get them through the next mission. There's sort of helmets and camo and this kind of thing. And you kind of jump in here, and you see the helmets cost a certain amount of coins that you do get from just playing in-game, but it seems at the moment you get it at a fairly slow rate, so it is kind of encouraging you to put more money into the game. Let's see, just to buy something, I will buy this, because it seems that it makes my stats go up a little bit for one of my people. And then when you go back in, you can then equip your people with your loadout and things. One other thing that kind of irritates me is it's kind of pretty bad at telling you stuff. It's kind of, I mean, a lot of these games, these sort of very sort of self-serious military simulation kind of game are very kind of eager to use military terminology and then get you lost right away. It's like, well, you don't know what Oscar Mike means or what have you. And this game is similar to that, albeit in a different way, and I'll kind of explain what I mean if I go in. Actually, I think, yeah, if I look at the perks and things. So I set up what happens at the very start of this game is you sort of recruit 4 guys, and you assign them different classes. So you can see, yeah, Jason Stillwell is my weapons sergeant. Space and Dave is direct action. I've got a medic and I've got intelligence, and each of those have special abilities that it only tells you what those special abilities are when you assign a class to these people, and after that it never reminds you of what they are, and it never tells you at the start of the game why you would want to use each person and what role they should be in your squad. So it's kind of set up a little bit poorly if you're starting out. And if you go into the training here, there's a tutorial mission that basically barely tells you you know, how the game systems work, and then everything else is buried in these tutorial videos that are, as you can hear here, this isn't my capture software screwing up. This is that was it. That was the video. It's a mute video. There's no sound to it. It doesn't explain why you would use these things at all. It's just a video of someone clicking the icon, and then, you know, what happens when the action plays out. It's really quite poor at explaining what all these you know, what all these perks and all these things do, and that's kind of irritating, because the game in itself is quite fun and I quite want to learn how to be better at it, but it does such a bad job of explaining what everything does that it gets really kind of irritating. But let's jump into a mission here and see what happens. As you can see, I'm super early on in this game. There's extra missions, lots of extra missions coming soon, which is, I don't know, it's kind of, I think this sort of design ploy is a little bit disingenuous to say, well, you've got 3 locations on the map that you can go to, but the rest are coming soon. It's like the, as I've said before on our podcast, it's like the animated gif of the little man, the little workshop guy that happened on Netscape pages years and years ago. But right now I'm in Afghanistan, and I'm going through the missions here. I'm on the 3rd mission at the moment, and all of these are existing in the terrorist hunt game mode, and there's a couple of other game modes, you know, mission varieties, again, coming later. So stay tuned for that, I suppose. So you can see at the bottom here I've got a UAV available. I bought that at the end of the last thing, and that lets me get the drop on the enemies by letting us see where they are in the map. So I don't want to embarrass myself by getting destroyed on a mission for a video here, so I'm going to use that in this case, just so you can see what it's like. And let's get started. So, there they are. Yeah, so normally you wouldn't be able to get that information. It would just kind of, you know, all these guys would appear invisibly, and you'd be left to deal with, you know, whatever you've got to deal with. So being able to see this stuff makes it a lot easier. What Breach and Clear is, in essence, is, well, it might be familiar to you if you've played something like Frozen Synapse. What you're doing here is basically directing each of your 4 guys to make moves. Like a turn-based RPG, so we're going to sort of set all the dominoes up and then hit go, and then everything else kind of plays out in real time. So kind of Frozen Synapse meets Rainbow Six, the way each mission starts, or the old school Rainbow Six when it was a lot smarter. Way each mission starts is you choose an entry point. So I'm going to do that. If I click on a door here, then I can assign each person a door, and then a method of getting in. So you can see at the right here, basically I've got a choice of normal, or I can wade in with my shotgun if I want. There's also lockpicks and explosives for very, very quiet and very, very loud entry respectively, but I don't have those in my inventory right now. So I'm going to set J to door A, and let's put him with Dave, and then I think, if I remember right, yeah, door D. So you can highlight each door here and you get a little bit of a view of what's going in. Again, as I'm pretty sure, like, if you didn't do the UAV thing, you wouldn't see the enemies on the screen here. So I think I'll send Joe and Tanner in to get the drop on those guys. And in fact, I'm going to let those guys barge in with a shotgun, because I think everybody's going to be pretty much alerted to what's happening right away. Okay, so then I hit ready, and we're ready to go. What you do what you can do in terms of controls here is I'm dragging one finger across the screen to scroll very slowly through the level, pinch in to zoom, and also rotate and span and spinny around here. For what it's worth, it's pretty smooth camera controls and pretty easy to use. Kind of much better than the camera interface was in XCOM, say. So that's quite nice. Let's see, I tap on one of the 4 people here on the right hand side of my screen to take control of them, and then what I do is hold on one spot to set a waypoint, and as you can see, XCOM style, it gives one full shield here to say that I'm in full cover, and then I can pan around here and spin that icon around to indicate where my guy's going to be looking once he gets to that point. What's interesting as well is I can set a waypoint. Oh, and I think I've screwed that up. Hold on. I have screwed that up. It's a little bit. Check your corner. It's a little bit of a fiddly interface to use. Or it can be a bit of a fiddly interface to use because you just kind of want to be adjusting where you're looking, and then suddenly you'll go, "Oh, that's where your new waypoint is, eh? Okay." So that's a little bit irritating, but it does kind of open up some interesting stuff tactically, because you can see my final waypoint is at the bottom of the screen there. I can also set waypoints within that waypoint by touching anywhere along the line. So I can say I want my guy at this point to be facing in this direction, and then once he's on his way out, I want him facing this way, and then once he finally, just spin around here, once he finally gets here, I want him facing outward. So the game itself uses a horrible gimmicky way of describing it. It says own every angle, which sounds very Call of Duty-ish, but it's a pretty cool idea. Also, you can see the Unity logo style cube at the bottom here. If I do that, that kind of, as I tap on that kind of switches us from an isometric to an overhead viewpoint, which is quite helpful.
Consider it done.
So I'm going to send Joe into the next desk over. And I'm really concerned about this dude as I go in, so I have him look that way. And then if I float over to my B team, over here, the big concern here is those two. So Dave's got a flashbang in his inventory here, so why don't we use that, and we will use that. That will daze them for 2 seconds, and then I can send Jay in to hide behind a sofa, and he will take care of these guys on the way. Okay, so we're all good to go, I think, so let's hit breach in the bottom right and see what happens.
Yes, sir. Moving.
Okay, so Jay got hit a couple of times there, but he's alright, he's still standing, and it looks like the rest of us, there we go, Tanner and Joe took care of business quite well there. So let's see, I think we're largely done here. There's no one hiding in the toilets. So all we have to do is take care of these two fellas here. As I said, right now, in the only game mode that there is, the only mission kind of variety that there is here is in kind of just taking out all the terrorists within the stage, but there's more, hostage rescue and things like that are coming in a later update. So
done.
I think I'll let Jay take a rest at the moment, and let's hop on over to Joe, who has nothing to really help him out, but if we send him over here, he doesn't really have a great angle there, but should set me up okay for the next turn.
Done.
As with XCOM, death comes from not putting your guys into cover. But it's pretty easy to be tempted here, and I'm gonna kind of draw Tanner out, and he might be in trouble at one point in the next turn. It's kind of easy just to be tempted to, oh, there's one more guy there. Like, you should be fine to just rush in between cover and get them done. But yeah, very often that kind of winds up doing you harm in the end. So let's send Dave in, and there we go. He should be able to provide backup, and as I said, I'll let Jay hide behind a sofa, because that is what he is adept at. And let's go.
Moving.
Yeah, so you can see you don't know how, when the actual turns play out, they play out in real time, just like Frozen Synapse does. So you don't, the trick is you don't know for sure how the enemy guys are going to react, and that's why it's really easy to be caught out of cover. So one last dude. Yes. Kind of flanking. And I hope we do okay.
Yes, sir.
Sitting towards the door. Yeah, I mean, this is, again, it's a problem with playing any kind of game on iPhone that's clearly, obviously been designed for iPad first. Very often your fingers will kind of highlight a tile that you don't really want to, and it's kind of difficult to kind of go, no, don't do that. And I mean, I can hit the loop here and restart the turn, but it's a little bit finicky. Not too much so, but just enough to kind of very occasionally get on your nerves. Right, I think we'll send everybody in, and by the time Dave gets here, all the work will be done. He hasn't really done anything in this level, but should be okay. And we'll send Jay in to come in later with the sandwiches. Go! Oh, in slow motion, and he's down, he's dead. Right, mission complete. Well done, guys. So there's, focus on leveling your guys up. As we saw earlier on, they'll get perks as they level up, which is specific to their class, although it's not very good at explaining what the class or the perks actually do, what they mean. Yeah, and I can sort of allocate my skill points and things like that to kind of, have my squad act the way I want to act. And in general, this is a really nice kind of dramatic tactics game. And I think if you've had your appetite whetted by something like XCOM, this is more of a similar kind of thing, but very designed, as you can see, with these tiny maps and short play sessions in mind. So it's a really cool idea, and I really enjoy it. It's just kind of little bits. It could just be a little bit more kind of accessible, a little bit more, a little bit better at explaining stuff. Again, if you thought back to XCOM, which was very sort of strategically in-depth, it would explain very precisely in this sort of screen what each of your sort of perks and the benefits and drawbacks of increasing each stat. I don't really know what evasion means in this instance, but I'll allocate some points to it because okay, I guess, and this is kind of full of that. So I think more than the sort of more levels and the more game modes coming soon, it would be nice if it had a little bit of a UI overhaul and was a little bit clearer about what it wanted you to do. But the core game here is really enjoyable, and it's worth spending a couple of bucks on. So for more on Breach and Clear and plenty of other games, not just on iOS but on consoles and handhelds and PC and all the rest of it, do head on over to wheredoesgodzillapoop.com. I'm Chris Charlton, thanks for watching.